Hey everyone, it's Justin. I'm here to make a video about ROTC tactics ambush, following the troop leading procedures. This video is going to be focusing on the squad level ambush, and I'm going to be making a separate video for the platoon ambush because it goes into a lot more depth about the planning process and everything that needs to be done in order to conduct a successful mission. So, starting with the TLPs, I made a video about that pretty recently. I will probably try to provide a link in the description to watch that. It's a basic explanation of them, but I'm going to be going through them and trying to note exactly which step of the TLPs I'm going over for each part of the checklist for the complete plan for running an ambush mission. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start with planning the ambush mission, assuming that you have a squad size of 9 people. So that is the standard infantry squad. However, there might be more or less. Depending on if you have more, you might want to make additions to the plan, such as adding an RTO to help you with time management. And if you have less people, you might have to adjust some of the numbers because you won't be able to send out as large of a recon force and split your element up too much. Alright, I'm going to start with step 1, receiving and analyzing the mission. So in this case, the mission is going to be 3rd Squad will conduct an ambush in the vicinity of Echo Golf 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no later than 1500 in order to eliminate enemy forces. Make sure you make note of, so they're probably going to brief you a full op board, but that's the most important piece of the op board when you're starting to plan at the squad level. So the mission itself is going to be in that format. However, in the situation paragraph, they're most likely going to be telling you how many enemies to expect, and the important thing to note out of that is note the enemy size, but also the MDCOA and the MPCOA. So the MDCOA is going to be your most dangerous course of action, and your MPCOA is going to be your most probable course of action. Also, in the sustainment paragraph, they're going to note the equipment available to you. So this is where they'll note if you have claymores, a 60mm mortar, and etc. So make sure you write down if you do have a mortar available, you're going to want to use it. So they're going to end the brief with time is now blank. What are your questions? If you have any questions, make sure you ask them off the bat, but the very first thing you should do is assess how much time you have to complete this mission. So for this mission, I said time is now 1300 and you have until 1500. So you have a 2-hour window. So thinking about the next step for the TLPs is going to be issuing a warno. So picking out the important information from the op-board brief you just got is going to be the 5 W's. You're going to create task and purpose and a timeline to go into your warno. So the 5 W's from the mission are going to be who, 3rd Squad, what, ambush, where, Echo Golf 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, when, no later than 1500, why, to eliminate the enemy. So once you have that done, it's easy to actually format it like you did receive it in the mission format. So 3rd Squad will conduct an ambush in the vicinity of Echo Golf 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no later than 1500 in order to eliminate enemy forces. That's a good way to actually brief it to your subordinate leadership as well. Next, you're going to assign task and purpose in the warno. So your task and purpose, this is the standard one that I use whenever I'm in a mission, is going to be Alpha Team is going to be doing route planning, support by fire, and they're actually going to be doing aid and litter as well. Bravo Team is going to be the assaulting element. They're going to do EPW and demolition. So within the Alpha Team task and purpose, you have assigned that they're going to be doing route planning. So within route planning, you want to have a pace man and a direction man. And then also I would include an alternate pace man and an alternate direction. So in a squad of 9, Alpha Team is going to be comprised of 4 people. So your Alpha Team leader should be the primary direction. And then the other people in the squad should fill in, the other people in the team should fill in and be the primary pace, alternative direction, alternative pace. So you want to have people to replace these just in case you take contact along the way, and if you lose anyone, then they will be able to step up and be able to take their place. And also, if your primary pace guy loses track of the pace, you have an alternate one to kind of try to cross-reference each other and make sure that you stay on track. So moving forward from that, you're going to go into your timeline. So I talked about back planning in my last video, and I'm not going to go into depth about it this time, so this video is not 20-30 minutes long. But this is the timeline that I created that includes all the steps that I think are necessary in order to complete the ambush mission. So from 1300 to 1320, you're going to be receiving the mission, conducting rehearsals, making a plan, and issuing that warno out. So from 1320 to 1350 will be movement to the ORP, or the objective rally point. From 1350 to 1450, 1415, you're going to be doing a leader's recon and building a train model kit. From 14:15 to 14:25, you're going to brief the final plan to both teams. From 14:25 to 14:35, you're going to move from the ORP, objective rally point, to the objective. From 14:35 to 14:45, you're going to place every security member that you haven't set, and also every person in your squad you're going to place on the support by fire line and assault line. And from 14:45, you're going to initiate contact. 14:45 to 14:55, you have time slotted for actions on objective. And then finally, 14:55 to 1500, demo, which is the last part of actions on objective, and withdrawal from the objective. So I noted that there is only 15 minutes for actions on objective and withdrawal, and that's actually a little bit long. So general rule of thumb is what I've been taught. You want to spend about 7 to 10 minutes on the objective, no more than that, because that oftentimes, if you spend more time, it leads to indirect fire and them calling reinforcements. So if either of which happens, you're going to have trouble dealing with the consequences of that. All right, moving into making a tentative plan. This is equivalent to what the execution paragraph of the op board is. So the first step of making a plan is creating a concept of operations. So that's breaking the process of the ambush mission down into different phases. Phase 1, I have an example. Phase 1 is going to be planning. Phase 2, movement to the ORP. Phase 3, recon. Phase 4, movement to objective. Phase 5, actions on objective. Phase 6, withdrawal. So for the concept of the operations, you can actually have as many or as little phases as you want. It's your personal view on the concept of the ambush that you're actually conducting. So that being said, I've seen people have as little as 2 to 3 phases to some people have 13, 14, 15 phases. I would try to keep it to a smaller amount of phases if possible, with still including each important step of the operation. After the concept of operations, you're going to create a movement plan. So for the movement plan, it's a little bit more complex as a platoon because you can change movement techniques, such as like bounding overwatch, bounding, there's different types of movement for a platoon, but the main thing you're going to be doing as a squad is you're going to be moving in a squad, column, fire team, wedge. And then also with the movement plan, you want to create a black and gold plan, which is going to be for indirect fire, or if you take contact and you need to withdraw from the situation. So I have that black is back 200 meters and gold is forward 200 meters. And that's along the path, the route that we're going to be taking towards the ORP and then eventually towards the objective. So in the case that you do take contact, you can just yell out a color and say black, and everyone in your squad will know to go backwards 200 meters and then reconsolidate 200 meters back. Next is the task and purpose in a little bit more detail. So you originally briefed the task and purpose in the Warno, but you're going to go into more detail with it in the tentative plan you make, or the execution paragraph of the op board. So for Alpha, I have their support by fire, aid and litter, and I'm going to have primary and alternate positions assigned for each of the positions they carry. So for primary aid and litter, I have Smith and Jones. For alternate aid and litter, I have Johnson and Murphy. For primary far left security, I'm going to have Johnson. And I don't actually have the right security because in my TMK, I'm going to brief that the actual positioning of everyone, and it makes sense for the support by fire to have a left security and the assaulting element to provide the right security. So then moving forward in a Bravo team, they're going to be the assaulting element, EPW, and demolition. So primary EPW is going to be Burlett and Hickman. Alternate EPW is going to be Dietrich and Howard. Primary demo will be Dietrich and Howard. Alternate demo will be Burlett and Hickman. And then the security member on that side is going to be Howard. So he will be the far right security. So that being said, the next thing you should do is draw out a little sketch of exactly how you imagine the objective is going to look. So most ambushes are along a road or along a significant pass. So I have my assaulting line drawn, and they're actually looking in a straight line, looking onto the objective. My Alpha team is going to be on the right. My Bravo team is going to be on the left. My far left security from Bravo team is about 150 meters to the left of Bravo team themselves, and my right security is going to be 150 meters to the right of the assaulting element. The actual assaulting line that I've created is more than 150 meters back. And the reason for that is if I do decide to use the 60mm mortar, the lethal range of the 60mm mortar is a minimum of 150 meters. So I have my people 200 meters back and in a crouched or prone position, so that they will not be affected. It will still be danger close with the mortar, but they'll be a little bit more safe than if they were actually like 50 meters on or close to the objective. Also, another thing to note is that oftentimes people will place their ambush lines very close to the objective, but the effective range of an M4 can be up to 500 meters, and that's to say that skilled marksmen can shoot that far, but cadets can definitely not shoot that far, including myself. So I would say right around the range of 200 meters is probably where you're going to be best situated for putting your assaulting line. Next thing you want to include in your execution or your tentative plan is going to be your PACE plan for initiating fire. Your PACE plan stands for primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. So there are going to be 4 ways you're going to initiate fire in a consequential order. So my primary is going to be a 60 millimeter mortar. My alternate will be a claymore. My contingency will be my M4 I will personally fire, and my emergency plan will be I will bump my alpha team leader and tell him to fire his M4. So a couple things to note about your PACE plan is that you want to initiate fires, or you want to initiate contact with your most casualty producing weapons. So in this case, if I have a 60 millimeter mortar available to me, a mortar is going to do the most damage to the target, and a claymore will do the next most damage, and then finally, since I don't have any 240s or 249s, my M4 will be the next best, and then finally my alpha team leader's M4 will be following that. So you want to avoid yelling or putting any type of whistle on the actual PACE plan, because you want to initiate with some sort of firepower. If you just yell fire, then you're giving them a second to react, because it's going to take the same amount of time for your people to react and start firing as it will maybe half a second delay for them to react. And in that time, they could possibly run to cover, and it could make the ambush a heck of a lot harder. The last step of the execution paragraph that I have is going to be for your withdrawal plan from the objective. So with an ambush, you want to have a plan withdrawal. Same thing with a raid. So I have it broken down into a red, white, blue plan. So when I yell red after actions on the objective, the assaulting element will pick up and leave back to the ORP. When I yell white, the supporting element will leave back to the ORP. When I yell blue, security and demo will leave back to the ORP. This only is related to the people that are actively doing these jobs. So I know I listed a primary and an alternate demo. The people that actually did the demo are going to be the ones that respond to me yelling the blue command. Make sure that you specify that, because otherwise people might say, oh, I'm EPW, but I'm also assault, but I'm also this, so they don't know when they need to leave. You need to specify that those that actively did the job are the ones that are going to respond to these commands. And the reason why you don't have everyone get off the objective at once is that you want to maintain some element of security on the objective while you have people retrograding from the objective. If you have absolutely no security and you get hit by enemy reinforcements, then you're in a compromised position. So next is step 4 of the TLPs, which is going to be initiate necessary movement. And I have especially noted that this is going to occur simultaneously with step 3. So while you're filling out the plan and execution paragraph of your op board, you're actually going to want people to start doing rehearsals. And so you should give your route planning to the alpha team leader, so he's going to be planning the movement. But while he's planning the movement, your alpha team and bravo team can start doing their rehearsals of actions on objective. So rehearsals are extremely important. There are many different kinds of rehearsals. The most important ones to do are the actions on objective, but that doesn't necessarily limit the actions on objective rehearsals to EPW and aid and litter. So the other rehearsals that you can do for those are going to be walking with your assaulting line and making sure that they know how to stay on line, that they can bound correctly. And same thing with your report by fire is going to be initiating contact, practicing alternating fire sequences for the ambush. Step 5 after that is going to be your leader's recon. So I have a list of people that I would bring, but this is up to the squad leader's discretion based on who they have. So in the case that I'm doing a leader's recon with a squad size element, I'm going to be bringing my alpha team leader, 2 alpha team members, not security, 1 bravo team leader that is going to be the security. The reason why I said that the 2 alpha team members that are not going to be on security is going to be because they're going to be used as the S&O team, or the surveillance and observation team. Once you have eyes on the objective, you don't want to lose the eyes on the objective. You want to maintain your observation of it. So you have a surveillance and observation team set in order to maintain eyes on the objective. The security member that's going to be from the assaulting element is going to be your far right security, so he can give you warning if they're coming from the right side at least. And then you also have someone out there that can cover a flank while you move the rest of your element in to the ambush site. So during the recon, you're going to actually spend time reconning the site and visualizing the location of every person. Especially with a squad size ambush, you should have the ability to place down every single member of your squad personally where you want them. In a platoon size, you might actually have to trust your subordinate leadership or your squad leaders to place them down where they see best fit, but in a squad size, there's absolutely no reason why you can't personally place every single person in the ambush. Alright, so step 6, complete the plan. So when you get back to your ORP, then you're going to actually have your alpha team leader create the final terrain model kit of the objective, while you as the squad leader make any adjustments necessary to your tentative plan that you originally briefed out. During this time, you're going to take your Bravo team can be doing extra rehearsals if necessary, and depending on the security level required, you can keep bringing people in and briefing them this plan as soon as the TMK is built. So I say that because in a lot of times with squad size missions, the security is notional, because it's hard to maintain a strong force of security when you have to brief each team in and you only have 4 people on the line to cover 360 degrees. So at the beginning of the mission, make sure you ask, how is security permissive or is it active? So if it's permissive, that means that you don't necessarily have to pull security at all times, but if it's active, then you need to have probably a minimum of 50% of your element pulling security at all times. Step 7 is briefing the plan. So that's, I said you should bring one team in at a time with their team leader, and actually once you have talked to the team leaders and brief the plan to them, bring the team in and have the team leader brief their team. This is a method of doing back briefs, so you can confirm that your team leader understands the plan and you can supervise it and make sure that everyone in the squad eventually knows what's going to be happening. Once everything is briefed, make sure you drop off your rucks. You have a ruck plan set up. You should have security members there if you have the personnel to guard them, but if not, then once again you're going to have to use notional security with a squad size element. Then from that point forward, you're going to be moving your element into the ambush line. And that's when you should place the securities first, and then have your team leaders originally, while you're placing the securities, have your team leaders place the support by fire and assaulting line, and then make any adjustments yourself that you think are necessary. Once you do that, I have a couple notes for the supervise and refine section, which is going to be your actual actions on the objective for an ambush. So in order, I said place your left security, support by fire, assault. Then you're going to position yourself between the support and assault element, but you want to be closer to the assault element because the squad leader will be traveling with the assaulting element across the objective. Initiate the ambush in your pace format. Upon first contact, you should start a timer. So if you don't have a watch yourself, then you should use an RTO or someone that you trust to start a timer, because once again, you want to try to get off the objective in, I would say, 10 minutes or less if possible. So start contact, then upon seeing that the enemy seems to be eliminated, cease fire for a minimum of 30 seconds. If you still see movement on the objective, resume fire. If not, go ahead and take your assaulting element, pick up, and assault through the objective. Remove all weapons and place them in a centralized location, and then establish a limit of advance or an LOA. So at this point, your team leaders should know to start conducting lace reports, but make sure you remind them to conduct the lace reports and get ready. When you're conducting lace reports, I know it's common practice to use terms like amber, green, red, yellow, use colors. That doesn't really mean that much, especially when you're phoning up to hire. So a piece of advice that I was given was make sure you assign number quantities. So if you have, for liquid ammo, casualties, and equipment, for liquid, you should say how many canteens you have left. For ammo, how many magazines you have left. For casualties, how many casualties do you have, and for equipment, what equipment do you actually have, or what equipment are you missing now? Because if you assign number values, and when you send it up to your hire and do a green 2 report or a red 1 report, then you will actually have quantifiable numbers to give them. After that, when you establish LOAs and you have your lace reports, you should then call your specialty teams out. So in order of specialty teams, it needs to be EPW, aid and litter. Following that is demolition. They need to be called in this order because EPW, they need to clear the objective before you can start performing aid into or onto any of the victims of the objective or your friendly casualties. And then lastly, you're going to withdraw off the objective. You want to yell red, pause, wait about 30 seconds for them to leave, white, pause 30 seconds, wait for them to leave, and then blue, wait 30 seconds and wait for them to leave. In the case of IDF or indirect fire, you have your black and gold plan already established from the movement plan that you originally briefed. So I recommend that you use black is back for 200 meters, gold is forward for 200 meters in the actual route. And I have a special note here that you want to aim to be off the objective as soon as possible. So at all times, you should be aiming to wrap the mission up as quickly as possible, get off the objective so no indirect fire hits you and no enemy reinforcements are called. And then my last piece of advice for you is that I think I forgot to mention giving GOTWAs or 5-point contingency plans. So every time you leave an element as the squad leader, you want to give them a 5-point contingency plan consisting of where you are going, others you're taking with you, time you're leaving, what to do if they take contact, and then actions if you take contact. So basically give them a complete plan of how to handle themselves while you're not there. Alright, so that concludes my brief of the ambush mission. It's about a 21-minute video, so it is long and lengthy. I apologize for that, but if you follow this checklist, I guarantee that you're going to succeed. This is the minimum for what I think is necessary to do well on an ambush mission. There are other things that you can add, so feel free to do so at your discretion. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.